farming that you do?
We do biodynamic farming here.
Okay.
So we use organic practices, but we also use biodynamic practices also, which we utilize different plant preparations that we spray on the earth, which brings a particular energy to the earth. If we have certain problems with our plants, we'll use certain homeopathic remedies to spray on them to give them support so that they have the ability to work with whatever it is that they're coming in contact with that might give them a challenge.
Can you give us an example of what a homeopathic remedy might be?
Like when we get tomato blight, which is really hard on tomatoes, it can wipe your tomatoes out really quickly. We'll use equisetum, which is horsetail, which has silica in it, which is, if you were to get the human form of it, it would be silica, but you can also get equisetum itself. So you have the mineral and then you have the plant form of it, so they can both be used. But in biodynamic, typically they'll use just the plant form, but I've stemmed away from that, and I've started to use the homeopathic remedies in conjunction with what I do with the biodynamic preps to add on to that to help support the plants that are here on our farm.
Wow, excellent. And you mentioned that you plant by the moon. Can you talk a little bit about that?
We follow the moon phases. You know, you have your waxing and waning, moon. When we put any new transplants in, let's say we start out in the greenhouse, and we're putting our seeds in flats.
Okay.
We'll plant on the day that we're supposed to plant, whether it's a root day, a leaf day, a flower day, or a fruit day. And then when we go to transplant the items into the garden, we'll plant them in the same fashion. And so it follows the moon and the planets, but we like to plant all transplants into the garden before the new moon. And it's because the way the energy comes to the earth, most people are familiar with the way that the tide has an impact from the moon.
Yeah.
We know that has a definite way of working, and having an impact on it. And it's the same way with plants.
Wow, fascinating.
That's how it does. So if you take a seed pack of red beets, and we have a 3-foot row here, and you make 2 furrows that will come up through, and we plant half the pack on a root day, and then we plant the other half the pack in the same exact row on a leaf day, you'll see a difference night and day. Your roots will form and your bulb will form, because it is a root vegetable, on the row right beside the one that you planted on a leaf day, and you'll have more leafy and, hardly any root system or bulbing that will occur in the same exact row from the same seed plant, but you've just planted on a different day. That's how much of an impact the energy has.
And by day, do you mean day of the week or day of the month?
When you look at the biodynamic calendar, in simplicity, it's marked very easily. Anybody could use the biodynamic calendar to plant with. And I don't want to say you don't have to use the preps, but you could simply plant your items by just following the calendar. And
so there's specific root days on the calendar. Is that what you mean? So it's not like every Tuesday. It's just it's certain days according to the moon phase.
Moon and the planets, where the planets are, located at.
That is fascinating.
Have an impact, on everything. Because we see it with animals. You can see the animals change before the full moon.
We see animals right over there. We see ducks and chickens walking around. We have roosters, you have rabbits, turkeys, and all kinds of vegetables here. What are these things over here? These like mini greenhouses?
They are. We took an old greenhouse that was in storage in the barn, and these were the windows that went on a really old greenhouse that had glass in them that were broken. And the first woofer that came to visit us, her name was Olivia. She was a champ and helped me put these all together with hinges and all the plastic that goes on it. And so that's what our seedlings sat underneath at the beginning of spring when it was cold out at night. Gave them lots of protection and the extra heat that they needed in the daytime to get a jump start.
Wow, isn't that a good reuse of windows?
It really is.
That's fantastic.
And it was simple,
Yeah, simple.
Pennies to make them, because we reclaimed something and then turned it into a usable item that we have here on the farm.
That must feel really good.
It does. It's great to be able to find things that, like I said, that we can reclaim and turn into something that's useful, that gives us, either an edge at the beginning of the season or at the end of the season, which can extend, our growing period that we have here.
And how long have you been farming?
About 10 or 12 years.
Wow, excellent. And you say you're pretty much the only one right now, and then you just have woofers that come help you?
We have woofers that come and visit. Let's see, I've had probably 8 or 9 woofers so far this season.
Can you explain what a woofer is to people who don't know?
A woofer is Oh, now you're going to make me blush because I should know this. It's a worldwide organization that pairs up organic farms with people that want to volunteer on an organic farm.
I think it stands for Work on Organic Farm, something like that.
Yeah, it's and I always forget, so that's why I always say woofers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It could be World Organization on Organic Farm or something like that, right? Yeah.
Right,
Okay.
right.
But they just show up and they work, and you feed them a nice dinner, and they stay over like that.
They do.
Yeah, and
Usually
then some
about 2 weeks.
2 weeks usually. Yeah, we're just stopping for one day. You're very gracious to have us only for one day, but we are just so excited to learn about all this. I can't wait to have my sons be future woofers and come and
great
travel.
experience.
That would be really great for them. I feel like they would be meeting very quality people too. Yeah. Look at them. They've got Bodhi, hold up those garlic bulbs.
Get your hands full. There you go.
Wow, they've been pulling up garlic here today. Great. Look at that.
Here, Bronson, here's some loose ones over here.
And we just heard this story. Thank you, Bodhi. We just heard this story about a man whose family, Amish family, was all getting cancer, and they asked this doctor, very famous doctor, to come help him, and he couldn't help him for about 8 months. But he said, until then, put some garlic with some petroleum jelly on the bottom of the kid's feet, put a paper towel on it, and then wrap it in saran wrap, and in the morning, it'll draw the toxins out. And in the next morning, it was all black. And they did it for days and days. Every night they did that, and after a couple of days, it came out clear. And they called the doctor and they said, it's clear. And he said, well, that's great. That means the lung cancer's out. Now we got to work on the tumor. And he progressively got this kid better by putting garlic on his feet. Pretty amazing.
It is amazing.
Mother Nature's amazing. Look at these guys are getting more garlic. Okay, we don't just pull. Remember, we got to loosen it first.
Oh, Bronson.
That's okay. All right, we're going to